Okay, hi everyone. Today I'm going to be talking you through one of my favourite rigs, which is a Combi rig that utilises the Albright knot. And this is something you've probably seen loads around, and actually loads of people, Spooner from Corda and a few other people have shown these in videos. But essentially the key items you'll need first of all is some fluorocarbon. Typically I'll use anywhere between 18 to 25 pound fluorocarbon. My one of choice is the IQ or the IQ2. For the soft part, I don't strip off, say for example, some people strip off some of their outer coating of the braid and use it there. I find it a bit too flimsy, not on that brand specifically, but just in general. So what I tend to use is 50-pound armour cord. And I use this because it's quite robust. So, you know, if you're attaching baits and you're taking hooks on and off, then it can stand the test of time, and it's got a slight air of rigidity that helps just kick away rather than fold the hook back on itself. So, so let's get started. The first thing I'll do is I'm going to take off some fluorocarbon. Typically, I take off around about 10-12 inches, something like that. So let's just chop that off. Okay, so inherently it's quite coily, so I just like to give it a bit of a stretch, just as a bit more malleable and easy to play with. Just stretch it out a little bit. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is take your armour cord, and typically for this, I like, do you know what, I quite like to have a lot to play with when I'm doing this, so I'll take about, again, about 10 inches, something like that, which is, to be fair, overkill, but you get so much on a spool for just, it's fine. So first things first, get your fluorocarbon. What you're going to do is, it's very difficult, I'll try and do it against the background of my top, but essentially you're going to get a loop like that. Okay, so if we turn that on its side, you're going to have a loop like this. Okay, and yeah, in short, what you're going to do is you're going to make a second loop from this material, from the armour cord, and what you're going to do there, just make it equal. Okay, all you're going to do, and the reason why I'm using loops, we've got a loop in this end and we've got a loop in that end. Okay, so I need to hold that one almost up there and that one down there. All I'm going to do is I'm going to pass the armour cord through here, and the reason why I'm using a loop is because I want to be able to change the hooks. Basically, you can tie this as a one-off rig, but I kind of think, well, what's the point really? You may as well have something you can use over and over again. So in terms of how much material I pull through, how much armour cord, typically probably, what's that, about 4 inches, something like that. I pull that through there because it's going to be a bottom bait, it's not going to be a pop-up. So, and so then basically all I'm going to do is I'm going to take the armour cord here, and again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap it round, so trap it with this finger, so as I've gone round, just trap it there, go around once, twice, 3 times, 4, 5, oops, 5, and then 6 times, then I stop there. Okay, so at this point, that is what it should look like. Okay, nice and straightforward. Okay, and then just always make note of which way round it's gone through the loop, because you'll need to know that in a minute. All you're going to do now is you're going to go back up that way. So you started off going down that way, you did 6 turns up this way, you're then going to go back over it 3 turns that way, 1, twice, and 3 times, and then simply trap it just there. Okay guys, so what's really important at this point is 2 things. One, that when you tighten this down, that you absolutely wet the knot really easily, and 2, remember what we're saying about the way that the line comes in through this bit here. Make sure that you go back out the same way. So I need to go through here, take this line, I need to put it back through that loop the same way. So I'm going to do that now. So at this point it looks a bit ungainly, but that is kind of what you're looking for. Okay, so I'm going to wet it now. And then what's really important is you pull all of the sections, so these two and this one. Okay, so we're just going to tease it up there, pull it tighter, and just help shift it along a bit. Now at this point I like to use a rig puller, and again the great thing about these thinking angler scissors is, of course, not only has it got the stripper tool here, but it's also got the rig puller element here, so I'm just going to pop that through there. Now what I do at this point is, rather than just pulling it tight, is I pull on this bit. So I should point out there, this bit here, so if I hold that like that, this element here I pull tight while I pull on this element here. So element, so I said element, but you get the drift. So okay, here we go. So we wet it again. We're pulling on this tag end here and the loop. You see it. Now I'm going to tighten up on the main piece of line here, and again still holding on to the loop. It's all a little process. And then the next part is I'm going to tighten these two. So I put these two, you shouldn't be doing it, kids don't do it, but I put those two bits between my teeth as I pull on this end as well. So that's basically, I'm going to be pulling on these elements here and the loop. Okay, so we've done it in all these stages to make sure it's super tight, because I mean you might be leaving this on for months at a time. I do. Give it a final pull. Okay, so I see a lot of people blobbing it down here, so let's put that bit in shot that way. I see a lot of people cutting these and then blobbing them big ungainly blobs. Don't worry about it, it's not going to come undone even if you chop it super close. What I tend to do is chop it about there. Let's get rid of these bits. I'll chop it about here, and if you can see, got just a little bit left there. And what I tend to do is I fold that over underneath the putty so it looks super neat and you haven't got those big crazy blobs. I'll give it one more pull on this tag end here, so that bit just coming off here with my teeth. Again, kids don't do that. And then again you can chop that really tight, don't be scared to do so, it's not going to come undone. And then lastly I give it one big giant tug just to make sure that it's all super strong, and that ain't coming undone. That's not coming undone at all. So this is what it should look like at this point. So got a very nice neat loop. There we go. Okay, so we've got our loop here, nice and neat, keeps it very straightforward. The next thing we want to do is we want to apply a hook. This is a very personal choice. Curve shanks do very well. I fish a lot of snags and this rig seems to do really well. For that reason I use a really strong hook, stepped up wide gauge in the wide gape Kamakura X style, if you like. I do keep, there we go, do keep some backups in the double X there just in case I want to super sharpen it down but have an even stronger gauge of hook. But these are the hooks that I typically use, so put that there. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, let's get rid of that bit of wax, is just wet it down, just pinch the end just so it'll go through the hole a little bit easier. It's always savage working with Kamakuras, I'm sure you have as well, but it's so easy to prick yourself with these super sharp hooks. So what I'm going to do is always go through the front of the hook with this particular rig. Pass it through just like that. Okay, and then just feed it all the way through. Now at this point what you're going to need is you're going to need a little hook ring. So in here, as you can see, actually with most of my rigs, like I've got one of them already pre-tied just here. I don't tend to attach it, I leave it cut off like that. So it depends on the system I'm using. I might be using a helicopter rig or a variety of different rigs, and I just like to have it like that so I can change it. But yeah, that's one of those rigs already tied up. We're just going to get a hook ring swivel. Oops. There we go. Okay. Again, all we're going to do is we're simply going to pass that loop through the ring. Like, oops. Give it a second. There we go. And then we're just going to make sure that it's straight on first, and then just obviously just loop it over the top there. There we go. Apologise for the banging around. My kids are having fun running about with the wife downstairs playing. So so there you go. That's the first key part of it done. What I like to do at this stage is to just get a little bit of putty and silicone. So let's get the silicone out. On with it. Oh, yeah, here we go. Now I typically use the 1.0 millimeter, and typically that's sort of how much I'll chop off. So what's that? A couple of centimeters or something. Well, just over 2 centimeters, I'd imagine. But yeah, again, just from doing rigs so many times that I know that I'm going to have a couple of mil there that's free. I don't like to have too much space there. I'm a real tangle phobe, so yeah. So first things first, get your fluorocarbon, feed that through your silicone, like that, and just feed it all the way down. Now at this point I will hold onto the ring and the hook, and I'll just wet the Albright knot and just feed that 1 mil silicone tubing over the top there. It takes a little bit of doing, but you get there eventually. And actually I quite like that it's a bit tricky to get over, because I like it to be really nice and tight against the shank of the hook. So just give it a few minutes. Takes a little while, and just got to be patient. Feed it over. There you go. And then straight onto your hook. There you go. Straight on. So at this stage, that's sort of what it looks like. Okay. Don't know how clear that is. It's harder to tell on here, but basically that's how it looks at this point. So then what I want to do is I just want to bring it up a little bit further from here. So at the moment we've kind of got a couple of mil gaps, so just going to pull it up a little bit. Okay, the kids in the background. So yeah, so that's where we're at this point. Okay, so now let's add some putty. Okay, so let's warm this putty up and place that straight over. I find this really helps actually massively, and I mean, again, it's more from being up to. I spent a lot of time fishing Christchurch, and the fish just get so close in that you see them playing around with baits over and over again, and it just gives you a good chance to see how the hook's working. And actually having this big heavy weighted piece of putty there certainly helps to pull it down, and just with a really sharpened hook, a nice heavy lead, you just wouldn't, they just can't get away with it. And the amount of times I've seen people fishing really super delicately with their little black tiger nuts and little bits of hemp and super light, you know, rigs and leads and everything, and they're just getting blown out. So basically, as it stands at the moment, it's quite rigid at this point here. Again, we're using the 50-pound armour cord, and it's got that level of rigidity to it. So I quite like that, as I said before. But what I do is just is I manipulate it just a little bit, twist it up and down. Caught my finger there on that Kamakura, super sharp. Just work it around, make it a little bit more flexible, and there you go. So now it will just drop nice and easily. So this, by the same token, when the hook is, so if I'm fishing on a bottom bait, I don't fish with this hook ring swivel right on the edge. I fish it to turn and drop, kind of like a D rig. So what I mean by that is, if I'm fishing bottom baits, I just want it to drop prone like that every time. As soon as they pick it up, bang, it will just drop down nice and low and hook. And then as soon as they try and pick it up like that, it's just going to hit that bottom lip straight away. And again, then it will tension to the hook and bang to the lead, and bang, you've got it in the bottom of the hook. So nice and straightforward rig. I guess the only way to really finish it off now at this point is to just tie a loop in the end. So just to keep it straightforward. Sorry, my kids are quite loud. But yeah, I'll just tie a nice straightforward perfection loop knot in the end. And that would be the rig done. So hopefully that's helped. Let's show you this a bit closer. Hopefully you can see it a little bit easier. But that's the rig there, nice, straightforward, lots of movement. Okay, and that's my version of the Albright Combi rig. If you'd like to see more, guys, feel free to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you'll be notified of any more videos. Thanks very much.